So I want to make this quick video just to talk about this recent Surging Sparks booster box reprint we had. Now, I feel like nobody even talks or mentions Surging Sparks anymore because Surging Sparks obviously isn't as hyped as it used to be. At this point, Surging Sparks is almost, getting there to be a year old. Right now, it is June. This was released in November, so a few months, it'll be a year old. Now, Surging Sparks, obviously card prices have been also going down because demand has also been going down. Sales volume has been going down. So overall, Surging Sparks just isn't talked about that much. It came out during the sort of beginning of this whole hype thing, and then obviously more sets have come out after the fact and have been more popular, such as Prismatic Evolutions. Journey Together obviously isn't even talked about as much as well, like Surging Sparks at this point, but also Destined Rivals is talked about a lot. So people just mainly talk about, Prismatic, Destined Rivals, but Surging Sparks, not really. But Surging Sparks, I wanted to come back to the set and talk about this recent reprint we had and sort of to use this as maybe some indication of what might happen to Destined Rivals after it gets reprinted, because it will get reprinted. Just like Surging Sparks, I really believe Destined Rivals will get a reprint for the booster boxes. It's going to happen, but I just want to use this as an example of what happened to Surging Sparks prices when it's not even in its prime, when it's not even as popular it used to be, what happened to the prices, and to sort of use that information of what we could see with Destined Rivals. So as you can see here, you might see maybe a different price than what you saw a little bit ago. Surging Sparks booster boxes, as of right now, lowest listed is $245, right? You look at market price, you can see it's a little bit lower, obviously because these have just started to get bought out. Because if you look within the past month, right, these have been going down. As you can see, this was because of the reprint we got, right? We got this reprint. It wasn't very big. Some people are still saying MSRP. Some people are saying 200. Some people are saying it's not going to drop at all. And as you can see, where did it drop? So these were around 250, and they dropped all the way down to around 215. So these dropped what, like $35, a little bit over a 10% drop. But if you look recently, what's been happening in the past few weeks, you can see when it hit its bottom at around 215, it has gone up, even though sales volume is not extremely high. I mean, still 10 to 15 boxes every day is still not that bad. But you can see the past couple weeks it has been going up, and now lowest listed is 245. So you can see that in just a little bit over a month, these have pretty much rebounded to back where they were after the reprint. Given, this reprint wasn't very big, but they rebounded in a little bit over a month, and, this set isn't even as popular as it used to be. It's nowhere near as popular as it used to be. And even some, evidence of that, I don't know why I have this pulled up here, but is the card prices. Now, Surging Sparks, the Pikachu at one point was $450. It was pretty strong holding up there, but because prices for Surging Sparks obviously have gone down a bit, for the booster box, and also just more people opened it up, and there's less hype around Surging Sparks. Card prices have fallen across the board. The Pikachu, still, it's not a super cheap card. It's $300. Still one of the most expensive cards in this era. But at one point it was $450. The Latias at one point was like a $250 card. Now it's at $165. Dropped pretty considerably. Milotic, I think at one point was pretty close to 200. It was like, I know it was around like, I think 150. But yeah, this is now at $100. This Pikachu at one point was like 150. This was getting pretty expensive at one point. Now it is just under $60. So Surging Sparks, not even near as popular as it used to be. Recently got a reprint just a little bit over a month ago, and prices have pretty much rebounded back to where they were. So prices from that reprint really didn't do much, and not many people talk about this, about that reprint happening and how prices dropped. But I mean, look at them now, right? So using that information, Destined Rivals, right? It's going to get reprinted, like I said, it's going to. But how will prices drop? Now, Destined Rivals, especially now, it's still very popular. It's newly released, and when it gets reprinted, it probably still will have demand for it, right? Surging Sparks got a reprint, maybe 4 or 5 months after being released. This maybe be the same time frame. If it happens, I think by then prices will most likely be the same or a little bit more expensive. Right now, They're about as expensive as Surging Sparks was before like it got reprinted. So if this got reprinted, right, in my opinion, Destined Rivals, we don't know where it's going to be in a few months whenever they decide to reprint these booster boxes. So if it's higher, they're probably not going to drop maybe as low as if they were, what price they're at now, like 245, 250. But if these were to get reprinted, if you just look at the demand, right, it's still very strong. It's still a relatively new set, but since being released, it's still very strong. And this obviously having the Team Rocket element, and this is, one of the most popular sets in, Scarlet and Violet. In my opinion, it's going to be probably one of the best performers of this era, just because Team Rocket has a nostalgia factor. I think the reprints will probably do just about the same amount of drop as Surging Sparks, or possibly even less. Now, obviously, it depends. It depends how big the reprint is. It depends on when they reprint it, because if they reprint this tomorrow and it's decent size or the same size, it'll probably drop lower than Surging Sparks. I could see that happening. But if this gets reprinted, let's say 4, 5, 6 months, right? Because that's about how long it took for Surging Sparks booster box to get reprinted. I think it's going to take a big amount of supply to really move prices much with this set, because Surging Sparks only moved down $35 when it wasn't even as popular as it used to be. I can't see how Destined Rivals is going to move much more unless there's a ton more supply. That's literally all it's going to have to be, because even though Destined Rivals, I could see in a few months now that maybe the hype sort of dying down a bit, I don't think it'll die down enough to the point where these go like, for example, in my opinion, like sub 200. Because if Surging Sparks didn't do that, I can't see how Destined Rivals will do that. And also, you take into consideration, Destined Rivals is the most expensive main set. Obviously, in a few months from now, card prices will probably be lower. I think that will happen. But still, I think it'll probably still be the most expensive main set. The Mewtwo, I think, could be argued, but I think this will probably be, or it is, a more sought after chase card than the Pikachu. I feel like, the Pikachu, there is, demand for it, but people always criticize how it's pretty bland. Mewtwo, some people say the same thing, but I think Mewtwo in this artwork could possibly be more sought after chase than the Pikachu from Surging Sparks. And just overall, I think Destined Rivals has a lot more chases than Surging Sparks, because Surging Sparks has a few nice cards, Latios, the Pikachu, also the Milotic. But if you look at Destined Rivals, it has, in my opinion, just a lot more chases. It seems like a lot of people just like this set. Like if you compare the feedback from Surging Sparks to Destined Rivals, I feel like Destined Rivals has a way more positive feedback than Surging Sparks. There's just a lot of chases in the set, a lot of nice artworks, a lot of nice IRs in here. Obviously, some of these Misty cards are pretty sought after. And just overall, this set is very nice, and it's the most expensive set. So I think looking at Surging Sparks in that reprint, if this gets a similar size, I think these are not going to drop that much. For people still waiting for MSRP, I think we will have to wait for a time where things get reprinted in a point where Pokemon's not in as high as demand as it is now, because I think really it's either going to have to be supply that gets ramped up a ton, or a huge just decline in demand for these boxes to really drop a lot. And at least for the near future, in a few months, I don't see Pokemon demand dropping off a ton to the point where these get super cheap. So for that reason, it's really just gonna have to be the supply and when they do this reprint. But other than that, Destined Rivals is still very strong, and I just don't think it's gonna drop as much or more than Surging Sparks did from that reprint that happened like a month and a half ago. So that's all I want to say here. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know down in the comments below what you think Destined Rivals will do after reprint. Let's say theoretically it gets reprinted in 4 to 5 months like Surging Sparks did. Do you think these will drop down lower than Surging Sparks, or less, or more? Let me know what you guys think and why. But that's all I have for you here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.